evening, Captain.
Hi, Effie. Are you sure that stool's safe enough?
Oh, yes, sir. It's safe.
I can't dispute the opinion of an expert, but be careful.
All right, Captain. You can count on that.
Effie, did I hear Captain Matthews?
Oh, yeah. He's home.
You're a little early, aren't you, darling?
Mm-hmm. I have to make a speech tonight as a substitute for the senator.
Then you won't be here for dinner.
No.
I have a roast in the oven. Find time to let me know.
Well, I called your office. I called here. Didn't you get my messages?
No.
You said you went to the beauty parlor. Is that the best I can do for you?
My regular operator was out, so I let them talk me into taking a new girl. It looked awful, so I combed it out.
Well, do you have to pay in a case of that kind?
Why hurt the poor girl? It was her first day.
I don't think that's helping her or the owner.
I thought you didn't have to carry that anymore.
I don't have to.
Where is this speech?
New York. I'll be back by noon tomorrow.
Honestly, Matt.
I tried to get in touch with you as soon as I found out. But you weren't here, and you weren't at the office.
When will you be back?
Tomorrow, before noon. I have to catch the next shuttle. Do you want to drive me to the airport, or shall I call a cab?
Why don't you take my car? Park it at the airport.
If you don't need it.
I'm not going anyplace.
Well, enjoy the roast.
Matt. Make a good speech, darling.
I'll try, but you know how I am with an audience.
It's early, darling. Catch the next flight. Please.
Hey, you want to win a bet?
What?
What time did you get out of the beauty parlor?
About 1:30. Why?
Well, the senator's secretary swears she saw you let me off at the Jackson house a little after 1. And I told her it couldn't be me, but it might have been you and somebody else.
You bastard. Who do you think I am? Some hooker you drag into the station house?
All finished, Mrs. Matthews.
Matt. Matt, will you listen to me? It was business. We were discussing an article he's writing.
Why did you lie to me?
Because you won't believe the truth.
Try me.
Hello?
Mrs. Anderson? Can I speak to Paul?
Who is it?
Is Paul home? It's very important.
No, he's not. Who is this?
Mrs. Anderson, would you hold the line a minute? Captain Matthews from Washington is calling.
Captain Matthews?
Happened to Paul? Has something happened to Paul?
Hello? Look, if this is your idea of a joke... Ah!
Mrs. Anderson, it's me, Captain Matthews. It's me, Captain Matthews. Sorry, Miss Anderson. That was me on the phone from across the street.
Why?
I didn't want you to be frightened. And I had to find out if Paul was home.
He's not.
You're sure?
There's the room he sleeps in.
Thank you.
There's a much larger bedroom right next to mine. But Paul has always liked this one better, ever since he was about so high. I don't know why.
You don't mind me looking around, do you?
Has he done something else?
What time did he get back from Washington?
I don't know, about 7, 8 o'clock in the evening, something like that. What are you looking for?
Nothing. 7 or 8? Which?
I don't know. About 7:30, I guess.
The fact is, it was closer to 7:30 in the morning, wasn't it?
You can check with my neighbor. She was here when Paul came home. She was sitting right over there at the table.
Was she here when Paul went out again?
He didn't go out.
He didn't.
No. You must be looking for something.
No. Nothing. He stayed home?
Yes, he was home. He came in about 7:30, and we had supper, and we talked. We talked for a long time, and... What'd he do?
He went out. Why did you lie to me when I called you last night? That was me. Why did you lie to me, Miss Anderson?
He told me what to say. If anyone called, that he was tired and asleep.
What time did he get home?
It was light. I waited up. Has he done something else?
Did he tell you where he'd been?
I was afraid to ask. I didn't want him home. But where would he go? I don't know what to do. You imagine? Afraid? My own child? He used to lock himself up in there for hours. I mean, I was young still. And after his father left, I had to have company. Men liked me. They still do. He couldn't see that. Never. I had my life, too.
Call you tomorrow. It's nice to be home. My mother let you in here?
When did you find out you killed the wrong man?
Ma?
Paul.
I know you turned right around and took the next plane back to Washington. You only came home to get the gun. Where's the gun now?
Just stay away from me. Ma?
Put your hands up there.
I know my rights.
Do as I say. You're not talking to a police officer.
I thought that was you in bed there, and then I was glad that it wasn't. I was glad somebody got on your back, too, so you could see how it feels. Ma? Help me?
Drop it. Drop it.
Cat Matthews?
Sergeant Jelnick, Baltimore detectives, this is Detective Hanauer.
What can I do for you? Would you sit down for a minute? What's the trouble? Please?
We had a call out to locate you, Captain. I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
What?
Someone got into your apartment early this morning. Your wife was shot. Is she dead? I'm sorry.
Jesus. What happened?
Well, we don't have all the information, Captain.
Was it a prowler? What happened?
The fact is, she was with a man.
What man? What man? Did he shoot her?
Seems he's dead too, Captain. Shot.
I better get back there.
Look, why don't you let me take care of this?
I can't believe it. I didn't give him any money.
Don't worry about that, Captain. As a matter of fact, a couple of officers are on the way from Washington to drive you back. They're friends of yours. I don't think you should be behind the wheel.
Timestamp shows he checked in at 6:42 yesterday. Could he have taken the car out during the night and brought it back?
Oh, he could have. But he didn't.
You sure?
Yeah, because if he had, it would have been stamped for when he took it out and when he brought it back both. You want the car?
No, not just now, thank you. We've got our car. Why don't we leave his here for a while? What do you think, Captain?
What?
Your friends are going to meet us at the station house.
Yeah.
Are you all right? You sure? Oh, Captain, you haven't got anything on you, have you?
No.
Mind letting me see?
United Airlines Flight 638 from Detroit, Akron, and Pittsburgh has now arrived gate 18.
Good morning, gentlemen. Come to meet your client, Mr. King?
My ex-client, Senator. Is that ambulance your idea?
Uh-huh.
United Airlines Flight 375 from Chicago and Denver is now boarding at gate 17. The boarding area is now open.
I have an ambulance for you, Matt. And I've arranged a press conference right at the hospital admitting office.
Senator, you're gonna have to find yourself another hero.
Senator, you can't keep the Secretary of Defense waiting.
Yes, we just stopped by on our way to the Pentagon to say hello. Good luck, Matt. Gentlemen.
Seems we're going to have you back a little sooner than we expected, Matt.
Maybe.
What'd that Sanderson boy have to say?
The broken jaw, not very much, Chief. He'll start extradition proceedings as soon as we send a certified copy of the warrant.
Thanks.
Our constitutional liberties are available to everyone.
Even policemen?
Even policemen. Think what would have happened to you if you didn't have those rights.
But what would have happened if a known killer hadn't had the same rights? Nothing. Nothing at all.
Maybe.
I tell myself, she's true to me, she's true to me. I tell myself.
Come in.
Chief?
Where is he? I was hoping you might tell me.
Well, stick around. We'll know soon. Okay, get yourself some coffee.
Thank you.
You still think he's innocent?
As far as I know, he's not guilty.
Well, is there a difference?
Oh, yes. A big difference. Innocence is a moral question. Between you and your conscience. Between you and God, if you wish. Not guilty is a legal term. And Matthews is not guilty till the government can prove otherwise.
Woody, this is a damn lousy business. On one hand, you got the people in the press screaming and yelling to clean up the streets, get tough for the kids, toss the criminals in jail. Then on the other hand, we've got you civil liberties people screaming and yelling.
Come on, we don't scream and yell.
Yeah, screaming and yelling about people's rights, immunities, and privileges. Then once in a while, a cop, sometimes a good cop, gets himself in a jam. Then we've got them all down on us. What's the answer, Woody? How can we do a good job and keep everybody happy?
If everybody were happy, you wouldn't have a job.
Indictment is dismissed. The defendant is discharged. Mr. King, clerk.
Tell the senator I'm on my way to Baltimore. I'll get there as soon as I can.
Look, Captain, I think I got what you want. 411 ordered breakfast in the room at 9:30.
Service for one or two?
No, service for one. At 11:25, his room was made up. Now, according to the housekeeper's report, the guest was not in the room at the time.
Thanks, Artie. I want to keep this strictly unofficial.
Hey, Captain, that's not necessary. Come on, not from
Take
you.
it.
I have work and you do too. Thanks, just the same.
We can work together on the campaign.
Whose campaign? Mine or yours?
Hey, Mac, pull it down a little, huh?
Sure about that drink?
No, thanks. You were good enough to book a room for me. I'd better use it. Key for 713, please. Thank you. Tomorrow's a long day.
It was a very interesting and informative talk, Captain.
I hope it was helpful.
Yes, you know, next month we're inviting someone from the other side, Woodrow Wilson King. Do you know him?
Yes.
Well, thanks again. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Attention, please.
Good night.
Passengers departing Baltimore via Friendship International Airport. Your coach is now loading into Calvin Street entrance. Thank you.
Must first effect a breakdown of law enforcement. This is exactly what is being accomplished by the...
Where the hell have you been?
By the enemies of law and order. How long can the defenseless police officer remain a target for ridicule?
How long indeed?
How long can he tolerate abuse from every quarter? It behooves us not to abandon the public to the criminal element.
Effie spent the whole day cleaning. Look at this place.
Stop it.
I ask you a question.
I went shopping after the office.
I called the office. They said you had a cocktail party, a client's.
After the office and after the cocktail party, I went shopping.
What did you buy?
I just tried on some things. You hungry, dear?
Why should I be hungry? It's only 9:30.
I thought we'd eat out. Unless you'd like eggs or something.
Eggs will be all right.
And a salad. I just want to get out of these things.
Again?
What does that mean?
Nothing. You said you'd been shopping and trying on things.
Matt? Did I leave my bag in the living room?
You left it in the kitchen.
Light a cigarette for me, will you, darling? There are some menthols in my bag. I'm sorry I was late for your little ceremony. I had no idea it meant so much to you getting another medal. You already have a drawer full.
What client gave the cocktail party? Brooks Elliott?
He's not in town that I'm aware of.
And you would be aware of it, wouldn't you?
Matt, he was a friend of mine long before I met you.
A delicate way to put it.
All right. We slept together. I slept with you, too, so obviously you knew I wasn't as pure as the wind-driven snow.
That's beside the point. What's he doing back in your life?
He's a client. Or rather, the organization of which he's president is a client.
Oh? I suppose when they were looking for a public relations firm, they went through the yellow pages.
He's married and has a family in Miami.
As if that would make a difference.
There's no reason to be jealous.
I'm not jealous.
Then what do you call it?
I won't have you making a damned monkey out of me.
So, it's your vanity.
If you call objecting to my wife having relations with her ex-lovers, God knows how many, vanity, then it's my vanity. Adele.
Yes?
You really ought to quit that job. We'd be much happier.
And much poorer. Do you realize for the first time since we're married, your salary's larger than mine? Bless Senator Cole.
I want you to quit. I mean it.
few months, he'll be back on captain's pay. How can we live on that?
Will.
You will. We can't. Matt.
The kettle was boiling.
So for the moment, we'll leave the matter of the fee flexible.
How flexible?
Well, the minimum could be forget it. Return the favor sometime.
And the maximum?
Everything in the world you own. Agreeable?
I guess it'll have to be.
Now, there are two other conditions. First, you will discuss no aspect of this case with anyone but me. How much have you told them?
Nothing they don't know already.
Good. And second, everything you tell me must be truthful.
It will be.
Because my decisions will be based on information you give me. Now, if what you tell me turns out to be untruthful, I may be a little embarrassed temporarily, but your life and liberty are...
I get the message.
Did you kill your wife and Brooks Elliott?
No.
All right. On the basis of that answer, I don't propose to let you sit around the police station while they make up their minds whether or not to arrest you.
Neither do I.
Just a second. You know they don't need proof beyond a reasonable doubt to arrest you. Is it conceivable to you that they have sufficient evidence to show that you're probably guilty?
No.
They may have evidence you know nothing about. This is a capital case, Matt. They could hold you without bail, at least until the preliminary hearing.
I've got to find out where I stand.
Damn. Temper, temper, temper.
I'm sure Mr. King will be with you in just a minute.
It's all right. I'm used to waiting. And not such pleasant surroundings. I mean, there's not much female companionship on death row.
No, I don't suppose so.
You know the first thing I thought about? I mean, when I knew I was gonna get out.
No.
Wrong. No. You see how wrong you can be. That's not the first thing. No, I was gonna go to one of those big department stores. You know, they all have the cosmetic counters on the first floor. I used to dream at night that I was standing right in the middle of one of these big cosmetic departments and just sniffing all these different smells.
I never use it myself. Perfume.
Well, that was the first thing I was going to do. And then the second thing.
All right, Paul, you can come in now. These are okay, Liz. And would you ask Rich to step down here, please? I'm sorry, Paul. I had some papers that had to be filed this afternoon. That's all right. Just put them down. Sit down. Would you like something? Some coffee or something?
No.
All right, now. You spoke to your mother.
She doesn't want me there.
Nonsense. Of course she does. She agrees completely. It's a good idea for you to spend some time at home and work things out in your own mind.
I don't know how long I could stand it there.
Well, you've got to try. Now, I've arranged for you to go into Pittsburgh once a week to see this very fine psychiatrist. I want you to take your time, Paul. Decide how you're going to make the most of this big break.
What big break? Who pays me back for those 2 years? Who do I collect from?
Paul, don't you have the slightest feeling of gratitude about what's happened to you?
Yes, I do. Thank you very much for the nice suit.
Or the least bit of remorse about the things you did?
Why should I? It was the Supreme Court that passed the word down, didn't they?
Now, you get this straight. Your case was decided on a legal issue. Neither the courts nor I have put the stamp of approval on your crimes. What time's his flight?
5:32 from National.
Well, give it to him and get him out of here.
You arrive in Pittsburgh at 6:50. There's bus service every hour direct to McKeesport.
So if you'll just have a seat for a few minutes?
A few minutes.
Hello, Howie. This is Chief Hillbrandt's office.
Everything is just a few minutes.
You're telling me.
Senator Cole?
Yes.
They're right inside, sir.
I'll be back in 5 minutes, Homer.
Under no circumstances. You let Hildebrand do the investigating. You sit tight.
Hildebrand is trying to put me away.
Well, so far, he hasn't been able to. Maybe he never will.
I'm not going to sit around your office and be ignored.
Can you face going home?
Why not?
All right. I'll see about getting your apartment released.
And the car.
We'll see about the car.
You can't expect me to sit still when I know I can get my hands on at least a dozen people I've been involved with who could have done it.
You keep your hands to yourself. Make a list. I'll give it to Hildebrand. Anyway, you're much too close to this, Matt. There are other possibilities. Suppose the killer were after Brooks Elliott for some entirely different reason than the fact that he was having an affair with your wife.
Why a different reason? What about Elliott's wife?
Mm-mm. It's been established. She was in Miami.
It's been established I was in Baltimore.
Not quite, Matt.
This is a ridiculous place to have a meeting. Ridiculous.
It was a meeting you wanted, Senator. If your office wasn't satisfactory and mine wouldn't do for you, this seemed as good a place as any. Rich, I want you to do me a favor.
Well, Captain, this is certainly some mess you've gotten yourself into.
I'm in no mess, Senator.
My committee certainly is. Matt, why of all the lawyers in town did you have to retain him?
Because he's the best there is.
Rich will take care of that. Now there, Senator. Why did you want to see Captain Matthews?
The fact is, sir, the subcommittee on law and order has met. we agreed unanimously that the wisest thing for Captain Matthews would be resign at once.
Resign?
Just a minute, Matt. Now, Senator, your committee would look rather absurd if you were to dismiss Captain Matthews and the next day his innocence was established. I'm sure you've considered that.
Nevertheless, you're on leave of absence, forthwith. And until this matter is cleared up entirely.
I suppose that's fair enough.
With pay, of course. Otherwise, Captain Matthews reports for duty in the morning.
With pay, yes. Good afternoon.
Nice of him to offer his condolences.
Let's hope he doesn't offer you as a sacrifice.
I'm glad you could see something.
What are you going to do?
I don't know.
I need a ride.
Oh, fine. I'll drop you on the way to dinner. You know, Rich, contrary to my own rules, I've made a moral judgment. He's probably quite innocent.
That's him.
Come on up. Matt?
Hi, Smitty. Come on in. Smitty, you're not the world's greatest moving man. Red, if it hasn't been confiscated, there should be a bottle over the sink. Why don't you bring it in 3 glasses?
What a day, huh?
Yeah, what a day. Tell you, Smitty, tonight I'll get some rest, and tomorrow I'll help you dig. We'll get the son of a bitch who did this.
Well, they didn't confiscate it all anyway, Captain.
I've got a couple of ideas that'll be checked out.
So have we, Matt. At least one. One good one.
I didn't figure this was a social visit. Cheers.
Cheers.
No. The fact is, it's business. You see, there's this reporter for the Baltimore Sun. He wanted to get hold of you about your speech. He called your room at the Park, Baltimore, every 15 minutes. From 11:30 until 20 minutes to 2. There was no answer.
What does that prove?
A lot. If you put everything together. We've got the station agent who sold you a ticket to Washington. We've got the cab driver who carried you from Union Station to the corner of Nebraska and Northampton. It's just a block away.
From the lady down the street whose car was stolen? I suppose that was abandoned in Baltimore. Not by me, Smitty.
No, that one didn't work out for us. It was abandoned, all right, but it was someplace in Pennsylvania. McKeesport. No.
You haven't got much, Smitty.
Well, Chief Hildebrand thinks it's enough. So does the United States Attorney. So, Matt, you are now arrested. Arrested for first-degree murder. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You can consult with your attorney before you answer any questions. Oh, Matt, I'm sorry.
How do you think I feel?
What have you got on you?
Well, go ahead, Smitty. That's the procedure.
Now, the hell with the procedure.
Leave there, Red. Smitty, if I told you who did this, could we go get him together?
We already know who did it, don't we?
Oh, the key.
Open up back! He's out front. Watch it.
How do you like that? He climbed a fame on my back and not a hello. They have to bring me up here in cuffs for anyway. Didn't they read the Supreme Court decision?
Apparently you didn't. You're still under indictment for murder.
I'd like to talk to him for a moment.
All right. Good morning, Mr. Kent.
Good morning, Paul.
Where's my mother? Is she here?
No, I advised her not to make the trip.
Why? I wanted her here.
Just sit down. I want to explain to you exactly what this hearing is all about.
And I wanted my mother here.
Paul, it just wasn't necessary. Believe me. Now, at your trial, the United States Attorney did not introduce your confession into evidence. On several grounds. You were arrested on suspicion without probable cause.
Right.
You were held for more than 18 hours without being warned of your right to remain silent and to have legal counsel.
And Matthews beat the hell out of me, so I told him all he wanted me to say, all lies.
Nevertheless, you did tell Matthews where he could locate a knife, which was just a minute, Paul. A knife which was identified as your property, and which by expert testimony was proved to be the murder weapon, and a jacket and shirt of yours both stained with the victim's blood. Now, even so, the basis of your appeal was that if your confession was illegal, so was all the evidence stemming from it.
Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute.
You mean to tell me they can't use that knife and they can't use my clothes with the blood on it?
That's right.
And what have they got?
Not very much.
You mean to tell me that there's a chance I could beat this thing altogether?
Paul, I want your authorization to make a deal.
Screw that.
Now, you listen to me. You and I have had some very long talks about your emotional problems. You're a very sick boy.
I'm not sick enough to be on the inside when I can be out.
You take a plea to manslaughter and get the psychiatric treatment you need.
All right, you get this straight. If they don't have enough to keep me, then I want out like I'm entitled to. Get me out!
Paul, you raped and killed that woman.
What is this? You fight like a tiger because I'm deprived of my constitutional rights. And now that I might hit the street for good, your conscience starts to hurt? Well, I'm taking all I can get. You can't have it both ways, Mr. King.
Mr. King, court's opening. One of your weapons hadn't been fired recently. 38 special. Oh, by the way, where's your Magnum?
On the desk.
You carrying a weapon? I haven't been. Red, will you bring me a plastic bag?
Are you conducting this investigation personally?
Tag this, will you, Red? I've taken charge of it.
What about your memo? Superior officers are to supervise, not do the work of their men.
This case is an exception.
I see.
Matt, there's something I'd like to show you. Would you mind stepping outside for a minute?
Red, you got my bag?
No, Bellafiore has it, Captain.
See to it it doesn't get lost.
Yes, sir.
You have any idea who these shoe prints might belong to, Matt?
Some of them are mine. Effie was cleaning the windows when I got home yesterday afternoon. I walked over to warn her about a step stool she was using.
Well, Effie can't remember you coming any further than this. I thought you'd help us settle this, definitely.
Are you suggesting that I crawled in through my own window?
Matt, what time did you finish that speech in Baltimore last night?
Chief, am I a suspect?
There are 2 people dead, including your wife. We need some answers.
Under the circumstances, I don't think I'm obliged to give you any.
Look, if you had nothing to do with this, as you say, then you owe it to the department, not to mention yourself, to help us clear this thing up. I want you to come downtown with me. We're going to talk it over.
All right. But first, I'm going to make a phone call.
No, wait, Matt, you're among friends. You drag an attorney in now, everyone's going to say, aha, look, he had to get himself a lawyer. He's got something to hide.
I need help, and I'm going to get it.
Well, that's your privilege.
I'm glad you agree.
Matt.
All right, get back. Stand back, folks. There's nothing to see.
Do you have anyone particular in mind?
Yes. Woodrow Wilson King.
Oh, come on, Matt, not that bastard.
You're thinking of yesterday, Chief. Right now, he looks pretty good.
Until this morning when the Baltimore detectives saw him, which left ample opportunity for him to return to Washington by train or bus, do his business, and then get back up there.
Would he have gone back the same way?
Miss Lindquist, who lives a block and a half away, arrived home around 2 a.m. Parked her 67 Mustang at the curb, left the key in the ignition. This morning, the car's gone.
When Matthews left the Senate office building, his announced plan was to drive home right after the speech, not stay over in Baltimore.
I don't know. Now, the club in Baltimore did book a room for him.
Oh, come on, Smitty. He told his wife the speech was going to be in New York. Effie overheard him.
Obviously, his intention was to trap his wife and Elliot together. That's a case for premeditation.
Now, all we need is a case for murder.
I think we've got a case. Well, where are the ballistics reports?
Now, all 3 specimens were in pretty bad shape, Chief. They say it'll be late tonight or early tomorrow morning. Chief, the press is getting very restless out there.
Go on out and talk to him, will you, Smitty?
But don't say anything.
Well, I don't know how I can talk to them and not say anything. But I'll try.
How long will it be? Smitty, what's the United States Attorney doing in there? You gonna file charges?
How about it? Can we see Matthews? Lieutenant, does Captain Matthews still believe in capital punishment?
Is there anything you can tell us?
Yes, but I only want to say it once, so let's all get together.
Okay, quiet it down. Quiet. Give him a chance.
Deputy Chief John P. Hildebrand wants you to know that 40 men from the homicide squad and the special unit of the chief's office have been assigned to this investigation. Other than the fact that the investigation is making normal progress, he has no information to add at this time.
Oh.
Is Captain Matthews cooperating?
He's here.
What does that mean?
All right.
There's King. Hey, Woody, have you estimate
All right, now quiet down or we'll enforce the rules and clear the corridor. He's in here.
Hello, Matt. I was distressed to hear the news. Sorry about this complication.
Well, you're welcome to use my office. Thanks, Steve. Well, just let me get something, otherwise make yourself at home.
This may take some time. Why don't you go on down to court?
I'm sorry about Adele. I'm sorry you're in a jam. I, for one, hope you're not involved.
You believe I am?
Matt, I'm like the termite in a truckload of lumber. I don't know where we're going. I'm just along for the ride.
Good friend?
We came to the job the same day, 14 years ago. He was.
I believe he still is. Now, before we go any further, I'd like to know why, of all the attorneys in this city, you chose me.
Because I've seen you in action.
There could have been other reasons. One of which may have been a presumption on your part that the lips of my young associate are now sealed regarding the phone call you made to him early this morning.
That never entered my mind.
Good. Because no lawyer-client relationship existed at that time.
What do you want to talk about first, your fee?
No, I don't want to talk about my fee. Because right now, your bargaining position is infinitely better than mine. You have the advantage of knowing exactly how much trouble you're in. I don't.
It's past 2.
Is it?
You better get dressed.
Why?
You can't stay here all night. Please.
In a minute.
This is as good a time as any.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Captain Matthews and I have some urgent business. Would you be kind enough to tell Chief Hildebrand we're going to run along? That is, unless he'd like to say good afternoon.
Go on, Red.
Yes, sir.
This is Barnes in Chief Hildebrand's office. Yeah, you fellas were supposed to send down the 718 on that Anderson thing.
Hello, Mildred.
Captain?
Thanks.
You want to lecture, Matt? For future reference?
That's just what I need.
I'll see.
You're a policeman. You know a lot of law. You can find your way around this place in the dark. You've got friends here. And taking you at your word, you're innocent of any wrongdoing. With all that going for you, you're scared to death.
The hell I am.
The hell you're not. I'd be too. So how do you think some poor devil dragged in off the street fields, without a friend in the place, needing all the help he can get? Now, do you still resent his constitutional right to legal counsel?
The hell he says. I want that bastard locked up. Chief?
Yeah. Just a second. I'd better go along.
Smitty, we may need you too. He's making a bum out of me. Out of the job that I spent my life at. If you're innocent of this crime, as you claim, what reason on God's green earth do you, as a police officer and a public official, have to refuse your help? Well, your attitude leaves room for only one conclusion. You're guilty as hell.
Well, now, since you've reached that conclusion, I see no reason for Captain Matthews to help you. Matter of fact, he'd be rather foolish if he did. So, if you don't mind, we'll be running along. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hold it, Matt, just a second. I wouldn't go out that way. Not unless you want to get nailed by that mob of press out there.
Thanks, Smitty. We'll use a back elevator.
Well, if we don't have enough today, we will tomorrow.
Maybe.
We'd only have to ask you to come again. So take my word. It won't be long, and we'll have a car take you back to work.
Hello?
Is this Mrs. Sanders?
Uh-huh.
Could I speak to Paul, please?
Paul's asleep. Who is this? Don't you know what time it is? Who is it?
A friend of his. I heard he got out today. Can I speak to him?
I told you Paul is asleep.
Oh. You got home from Washington all right, huh?
Yes. Look, why don't you call him back in the morning?
I'd like to see him sometime. Buy him a drink.
Your attention, please. The Baltimore local with stops at Edmondson, College Park, Laurel, and Baltimore. Now departing from gate 24. All aboard, please.
Well, I only saw her once, when she and Captain Matthews gave me a lift one night. She was quite attractive and very sexy. Oh? Oh, good morning, Senator.
Morning.
Senator, have you heard about Captain Matthews?
Yes, I've heard. Mary, bring your book and come in here. And the rest of you, you're going to stand around and gossip all morning? Don't you have work?
Wasn't that a terrible thing?
Disastrous. Most unpropitious. Take a letter of resignation.
Senator, you can't blame yourself.
I am not resigning. It's for Captain Matthews to sign. The Honorable August Cole, chairman and so forth. Dear Senator Cole, it is with profound regret that I hereby tender my resignation. Do you intend typing from memory?
If you'll forgive me, Senator, isn't this a little premature?
My dear young lady, when a wife and a strange man are found in bed together, shot to death, it can be safely assumed that the husband is guilty.
Until proven innocent.
On second thought, it might be wise to call the committee together for, say, 11:30 to consider the whole matter?
Yes, sir. Is that all?
Yes.
That's Miss Beverly Lindquist, apartment number 2, down at 312.
They're here, Smitty.
Okay, Chief. Go talk. We had a report of a car stolen during the night.
Oh?
A block and a half down.
Hello, Matt.
Chief?
It's a rough one. I'm sorry.
Sorry, man. Red? What do you have to say?
Not 2 words, all the way up.
Oh, Captain, it was just awful, terrible. I thought it was you. I thought you were both dead. And the police made me look at him. They asked me who it was. I didn't know. I was scared, Captain. So scared.
No, you don't have to be afraid.
What are we going to do without her? What are we going to do?
I don't know, Effie. I just don't know.
No, come on, Effie, come. Let's sit down, huh?
Apparently the subject came through there at 2:20 a.m. The Navy doctor upstairs, he was awakened at the time. He thought it was an automobile or a motorcycle backfiring. Matt, did you know Brooks Elliott?
I'd met him.
Can you shed any light at all on what occurred?
I drove up to Baltimore about 6 o'clock. Red and Bellafiore drove me back this morning. Son of a bitch.
Leave it, Matt. We haven't covered this room thoroughly.
Where did they take her?
The coroner's got them.
Morning, Doctor. What a mess.
Thank you.
Oh, Liz.
Yeah.
Rich was going to drive Paul Sanderson to the airport yesterday, did he?
Yes, sir. What's the trouble? Can I help you find something, Mr. King?
I just got a call. Sometime during the night, Frank Matthews and his wife were shot and killed.
Oh, no.
Yes, in their bed. Here's the Sanderson number. Call that for me, will you?
You don't think Paul Sanderson had anything
I'll
to do-
direct Liz. Let me know when it's ringing.
It's ringing, Mr. King.
Hello?
Mrs. Sanderson?
Yes?
Mrs. Sanderson, this is Woodrow King in Washington.
Oh, Mr. King. Oh, you'll never know how grateful we are to you.
Mrs. Sanderson,
I don't know how I'll ever be able to repay you.
the reason I'm calling...
Paul is up. Would you like to talk to him? Huh? Just a second, just a second. Paul? Paul? It's Mr. King.
Hello, Mr. King. You checking up on me?
Well, you got home all right, Paul.
Yeah, I did. I'm here.
Well, the reason I'm calling is to apologize, Paul, for the anything I happened to say yesterday.
I'm sorry, Mr. King. He's on the other line right now. Can you?
If you have any problems at all, just don't hesitate to call. Okay?
Okay, I won't.
Goodbye.
Oh, what time were they killed?
I don't know.
Matthews phoned me last night, a few minutes before 3.
What? Why?
Mr.
He
King.
wanted to know where Paul was. I told him he'd gone home to McKeesport to put him on the plane.
Mr. King, Captain Matthews wasn't murdered. It was some other man.
But Mrs. Matthews...
Well, at first they thought it was Captain Matthews in bed with her.
A natural mistake.
All rise. All persons having business before the United States District Court in and for the District of Columbia draw nigh and give their attention. This court is now in session. God save the United States of America and His honorable court. Please be seated and come to order.
Mr. Clerk, will you call the calendar?
The United States against Paul Martin Sanderson. Criminal case number 3715-66. Mr. Butler, Mr. King.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Your Honor. This case has been reversed and remanded for a new trial. What is the government's intention?
May it please the court, after the fullest consideration, the Office of the United States Attorney has concluded that insufficient evidence remains in this case to sustain a conviction. Therefore, Your Honor, it's with great reluctance that the government moves for dismissal of the indictment.
Your reluctance to ask for a dismissal, Mr. Butler, is exceeded only by my reluctance to grant it. Before I rule on the motion, we'll have a brief recess, during which time I'd like to see Mr. King and Mr. Butler in chambers.
Rise. All rise.
Ah, what a big meeting. I mean, he has to let me go, doesn't he?
Paul, he doesn't have to do anything.
Listen, I have to go to the John. Jack.
May I speak to Ms. Matthews, please? This is her husband.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Matthews, but she's not here.
I understand she has an appointment.
She had, but it was canceled.
Well, how does it feel to be a loser?
You tell me.
All right, you wanted to go to the John? It's in there.
Keep your hands off me. Push him and shove him. Stand here, sit there. Well, when are you bastards gonna learn?
Let me tell you something. You were handled with kid gloves, and most of the people in the city thought lynching was too good for you. Oh, now you do as you're told.
Paul, you're gonna have to learn to control yourself.
Me? What about him?
Come on. In there. And don't throw the towels on the floor.
So that's the poor, unfortunate boy the Supreme Court said was deprived of his constitutional rights.
I don't know about his being poor or unfortunate, but he was deprived of his rights.
What about the rights of the woman he murdered and the others he raped? How can King ignore what happened?
When the police flagrantly violate the rights of a suspect, the courts have no choice but to find in his favor.
That's very nice, except he's guilty as hell.
But you didn't know that when you brought him into the police station, did you?
Matthew's a big man now at my expense.
Don't say anything to him. Don't even look at him.
I can't stand the sight of him.
Good morning, National Association of Marine Architects.
This is the AP. I understand your president, Mr. Brooks Elliott, is in town.
Yes, he arrived last night. Did you say the Associated Press?
May I speak to him, please?
I'm sorry Mr. Elliott isn't in the office right now. Who is this calling from the AP, please?
Oh, that's all right. I'll try him later.
Thank you.
All rise. This court is again in session.
We have before us a motion by the government for a dismissal of the indictment in this case. Mr. Sanderson, will you step around here, please? In your last appearance before me, Mr. Sanderson, it was my unpleasant duty to sentence you to death in the electric chair. Now, the duty I have before me now is, in some respects, even more unpleasant. I have no quarrel with the principle of law involved. It's a good and wise application of our constitutional guarantees. But in this case, it results in turning loose upon society a degraded and immoral person. There's no doubt that in the first half of the 20th century, we, and I mean the press and the public as well as the courts, looked the other way as our police, in the name of law and order, showed a patent disregard for individual liberties as guaranteed by the Bill of Rights. Well, it seems now that the pendulum is swinging a little too far the other way. Well, there is hope and gravity. We'll bring it to rest at some point where the interests of both individual liberty and the community as a whole are best served. The motion is granted.
Everything's all right under there.
Thank you.
Occupants 65 Continental, Maryland 8B Boy, -4339. Maryland State Police Frederick, KGA 918, 18810-4, 17410-4, 19210-4. Attention all cars. Wanted for murder. Authority D.C. Police Department. Frank Matthews, age 37. 6 feet 1 inch, 188 pounds. Driving 1968 Mercury convertible. D.C.
No. As soon as the commissioner's office opens in the morning. No, there is no warrant. I've got to go.
How in the hell did he get away from you?
They slammed the door in our faces and went out the window.
You put out an alarm?
On both him and the car. We've got a pretty good idea where he went.
Then what are you standing around here for? Go out and grab him.
I'm waiting for a call. It could be a couple of places.
The next time you make a felony arrest, no matter who it is, you follow the book. Use your cuffs.
A couple of interesting items.
They picked up that lady's car in Baltimore?
No. Taxicab call sheets, both taken from Union Station at a little after 2 a.m. Now, one driver took a lone male passenger to Northampton and Ohio.
Oh, that's about where he'd get off.
Yeah, and the other showed a passenger taken at 2:41 a.m. from the Union Station to the corner of Nebraska and Northampton.
What did the drivers say?
Well, neither comes on until 11 o'clock. Perry's going out to their homes with pictures.
Well, we might be on the right track. Listen. A Pennsylvania Railroad station agent in Baltimore thinks he remembers Matthews buying a round-trip ticket to Washington around midnight.
You know, maybe I've been at a homicide too long, but in my day, thinks he remembers wasn't good enough.
Don't you have to meet that Mrs. Elliott's flight?
Well, there's plenty of time, Chief. Captain Matthews' attorney is outside to see you.
You just get your tail out to the airport.
Now, look, Chief, that station agent in Baltimore, what...
They showed him Matthews' picture. First he said yes, then he said no, and then he said maybe. We're sending down some TV films. You represent Captain Matthews?
This is Richard D'Angelo, who's associated with Woody King, Deputy Chief Hildebrand.
What can we do for you, Counselor?
Well, two things, Chief. You're holding Captain Matthews' car at the auto pound. I understand it can be released to him on your authorization.
And the other?
If you've completed your investigation at his apartment, he should like to return to it tonight.
Oh, he should he?
Being away from it involves a considerable hardship.
Well, now, about the car. Lieutenant Smithson will arrange for its release. But I can't understand what's his hurry to get back to that apartment.
He needs his clothing and a place to stay.
Smitty, you all through over there?
All through, yeah.
As you must know, Counselor, it's up to the coroner's office to release that apartment and its contents.
Which they'll do on your recommendation. Or on a court order.
Okay, Smitty.
Well, the lock has been changed, and the coroner's office has the new key. Now, Captain Matthews has to pick it up in person. I will arrange for the release.
Smitty, who can we send to meet that flight from Miami?
I'll be right with you, Mr. D'Angelo.
Why does he want to get back there so fast?
Well, it beats me.
If he had some evidence hidden there, you'd have found it, wouldn't you?
Oh, there's nothing there.
Okay, Smitty. If you say so.
This isn't necessary, Mrs. Elliott. Not now, anyway.
Yes, it is. For me.
Why don't you park it and come on in?
Thanks.
Captain, say as long as you're here, would you care to view the remains?
I would not.
Control yourself.
This way, Mrs. Elliott.
Hi, Red.
This is Mrs. Elliott.
Hey, isn't that a coincidence?
That won't accomplish anything.
Captain Matthews?
Anything you say will be used as evidence against you.
Captain Matthews?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Mrs. Elliott.
I know.
Mrs. Brooks Elliott.
I'm sorry about what happened.
Was it so unbearable, Captain? So unbearable that 4 other lives had to be ruined?
Mrs. Elliott.
Matt, please.
We had 3 children. Was it so unbearable that their lives had to be ruined too? As well as yours?
I had nothing to do with what happened.
We'd better go.
That'd be a good idea.
What's happened?
As I left the house, I got word you're about to be arrested.
When?
Tonight, tomorrow morning. I'm advising you to surrender before they pick you up.
What for?
It might give us a little edge at the arraignment. If
their case isn't too strong, there's a chance, a possibility I can get bail set.
To hell with them. Let them come and get me.
In other words, they do have a case. A good case. You came back from Baltimore early this morning with the intention of surprising your wife and Brooks Elliott in bed, didn't you? Well, damn it, didn't you?
They were dead when I got there.
You didn't call for help?
I couldn't.
Yes, I guess I can see that.